The ones that traveled with you here tonight, you'll travel back with them. 28th of Rajab, Zainab is leaving Medina. Abbas is there, Ali Akbar is there, Qasim and Ulno Muhammad are there, Husayn is there. But this is now Sham-e-Ghariban. The one she came with, she's not leaving Karbala with. This is now Zainab's Ashura. Now Zainab has to be the son of Ali, the sister of Abbas. It wasn't enough that they covered Imam Husayn's body with scars and wounds. It wasn't enough that they separated his head from his body while he was still thirsty. 11 Imams were shaheed, 10 of them were poisoned. Imam Ali left this world from the effect of the poison. Imam Husayn is that one lone shaheed amongst the Imams that was alive before Shimr began what he began. It wasn't enough that they left his body on the plains of Karbala after beheading our Muslim Imam. A group of people came and they began to loot the Imam's body. Those who could take his armor took his armor. Those who could take his sword took his sword. Those who could take his helmet took his helmet. They took his amama, they took his shoes. They took everything they possibly could, to the point where one mal'oon attempted to take the ring off of Husayn's finger. And when that ring would not come off and he tried every possible way, he didn't leave it. He pulled out his dagger and he cut off the finger of Husayn. If that wasn't enough, Umar bin Saad now says, take out all of the shuhada one by one. You know that Husayn would bring the shaheed back to the khayma, and he'd put them in a certain tent in the khayma where all the bodies were. Referred to as Ganj shuhada sometimes. Albeit that they were lifeless and they were wounded, but their body was sahih and salim, it was in one piece. But Umar bin Saad was not okay with that. I want you to have this andaza of the amount of hatred they had for Husayn and his family. Umar bin Saad says, it's not enough that I have taken their lives, I want each of their heads on a spear. One by one now they pull the shaheed from this khayma, behead the shaheed, put the shaheed's head on the spear. Pulled out Qasim, beheaded Qasim. Pulled out Ulno Muhammad, beheaded both of them. But all of a sudden now, Umar bin Saad is told that every shaheed from this khayma now has been beheaded. He looks up to the spear, as if looking for a certain head. Looking for a certain head, and he tells them that no, there's still one head missing from the spears. Find where Husayn buried his Ali Asghar. I want that 6-month-old head on a spear. As if Rabab hadn't gone through enough already. As if the mother of Ali Asghar hasn't been shattered into pieces. She watched as they dug up Ali Asghar's body and put his head on a spear. Sham-e-Ghariban. The night of Tanhai, the night of loneliness, the ghurbat of the women of Husayn. Umar bin Saad then says, line up the shaheeds one by one, the shuhada. And whichever body now has to be trampled, he would say, for this body, I assign these 2 horses. For that body, I assign those 2 horses. For this body, I assign 2 horses. But when he approached the body of Husayn, he says, I need 10 different horses. I don't have the heart left. I don't think all of you have either. If we don't recount the dhulm done on Husayn and his family, who will? So please bear with me as I get through the Sham-e-Ghariban. It's always the most difficult part of the day for me. 10 different horses. Let me describe to you what these horses are like. Horses have categories to them. Horses have sizes to them. The horses that Umar bin Saad wanted for Husayn's body were the horses, and again, this is something I've read with my own eyes. These were horses that are used for a very specific purpose. And that specific purpose is to either crack something in half or grind something to a salt-like substance. Every single hoof on every single one of these horses, one of the 4, carried the weight of 57 kilos. You do the math, 4 hooves on one horse, 57 kilos of weight on one hoof, 10 different horses of that size. In between of them is the body of Husayn. 5 on one side, 5 on the other. On the command of Umar bin Saad, the 5 from the right charged towards the left, and the 5 from the left charged towards the right, at a speed meant to crush and destroy anything that was beneath it, to the point where Sheikh Abbas Qummi narrates in Nafas al-Mahmum that the last mal'oon to ride the last horse, the 10th of the horses, to trample the body of Husayn, to the point where Husayn's body was almost nothing. He says, by Allah, when my horse trampled the body of Husayn, I could hear the cracking of Husayn's ribs. Hi, Sham-e-Ghariban. It's one thing if you are not men of religion. A very famous statement by Imam Husayn on the day of Ashura, when perhaps he thought for a second they might attack the women. If you're not men of God, at least be free men. You're a man, I'm a man, fight with me. Leave the women and children out of it. They have nothing to do with you. But these were not men. They were animals, savages. When they were done now with the body of Husayn, and he lied there headless on the plains of Karbala, then they began to make their way towards the tents of Zainab. We all have women inside of our home. One thing that we want is to protect our women at all costs. If there's a hint of danger, if you're a real man, you would go and you would do your best to avoid that danger from reaching the women inside your home. When they were done looting the body of Husayn, they began to make their way towards the tent and began to loot the tents one by one. Women scattered everywhere, children scattered everywhere. If that wasn't enough, with the first khayma, the first tent, you could hear and smell the smell of smoke now from one tent now. One tent is lit on fire. The children from that tent run out of that tent and go in the second tent. That second tent is then lit on fire. The third tent is lit on fire. When all of the tents were lit on fire, Hamid ibn Muslim, the Ravi and reporter who was there in Karbala, he says, I saw with my own eyes the daughter of Ali looking inside the khayma, smoke coming from the back of the tent, as if she forgot something in there, as if there was something of value in that tent. She's looking to figure out, how do I enter this tent? How do I enter this tent? It's on fire. But with the courage of Ali, Zainab enters that tent, and Hamid waits to see what is it that she forgot in that tent. And the tent opens, and there's Zainab carrying a bimar Imam Sajjad on her back out of the khayma. My salams to you, Zainab, tonight. Women are everywhere. Women are, kids are everywhere. Where they saw children, they slapped the children. Where they saw women, they snatched their veils. Complete chaos on the land of Karbala. When finally things settled down, remember, Husayn gave Zainab 2 pieces of advice. 2 reminders that Zainab, I'm leaving now. I'm going towards the Maidan of Karbala. In your Salatul Layl, don't forget me. And number 2, I'm leaving with you my 4-year-old Amanat. Look after my Sakina. She gets scared at night. If it gets too dark, she needs somebody beside her. She'll ask for her Baba, explain to her what has happened, but look after my Sakina. Chaos ensues, men everywhere, fire up in the tents, and all Zainab could worry about is, where is Sakina? I can't find Sakina. Has anyone seen Sakina? Somebody said, I saw a 4-year-old whose kurta was on fire, running towards the Maidan of Karbala. Zainab then rose towards the Maidan of Karbala, calling out Sakina's name, from the body of Husayn. Hey Zainab! Slowly, she just fell asleep on my chest. Zainab arrives. Sakina is sleeping there beside her father. Hey Sakina, you recognize a body by 2 different ways, either by the head or by the clothes. Your father's body had neither a head nor clothes. How did you know this was your father's body? She says, Puppy Amma, when my kurta got caught on fire, I went running inside the Maidan of Karbala. Baba, where are you? Baba, where are you? And from this body, Ilayya, Ilayya, Sakina, I'm right here. When Muslim ibn Aqil Shahada took place, and from the palace of Ibn Ziyad, before being thrown off that rooftop, Ibn Ziyad asked Muslim ibn Aqil, do you have any last wish? And all he wanted to do was he turned towards Medina and Mecca. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Husayn had left already on his journey towards Kufa. All of a sudden, Zainab watches Husayn during that journey stop, face Kufa, alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. She says, Bhaiya, whose salam are you giving jawab to? He says, Muslim has been shaheed in Kufa. And then he says, bring me Muslim's daughter. Atiyah comes to Imam Husayn. Imam Husayn picks her up, hugs her, kisses her, places his hand on her head, and says that your father has left this world, but don't worry, from today I'm your father, from today I'll look after you, don't worry, anything you need I'm beside you, because that's how you treat an orphan daughter when she loses her father. And I'll say, Mawla, there's so much mehrabani, so much love, so much compassion. The only thing I hope was that your Sakina is not watching all of this, because then she'll expect that when I lose my father, somebody will come and hug me and kiss me and place their head on my hand. But instead what happens? Hussein is gone, Sakina's yatim, but there's no one there to hug her. Instead they slapped the face of Sakina. Instead they tore her earrings out. Instead her clothes are on fire. My last point in Tumasidua, may Allah accept your grief, inshallah. There comes a moment on the 11th of Muharram when now this qafla is ready to go towards Kufa and Sham. And I want you to understand the level of hatred these men had. Umar ibn Saad and his cruelty. Now remember, the Maqtal of Karbala went from only Hussein and Abbas's body on it to now every shaheed's body now. And that's why sometimes you hear in poetry that this Gulistan of Karbala was there. Every shaheed was its own gul and pool and flower, covered in those men who gave their lives for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Umar ibn Saad says that we are moving towards Kufa, but I want you to take this qafla through the shuhada of Karbala. Let them see for the last time who they're leaving behind. Can you imagine? How much is enough? And then they tell us that this was some battle that happened in northern Iraq. What's the big deal? Why do you Shias make such a big deal out of it? The qafla is ready. They begin to move. Imam Sajjad in the front with Bibi Zainab in the first. They begin to enter the Maidan of Karbala. The Shuhada now are everywhere. When Imam Sajjad's eyes found the body of his father Hussein, they say that Imam Sajjad fell off the camel and made his way towards Imam Husayn's body. My sons in the audience who have lost their fathers. My sons in the audience who have lost their fathers. My last statement, I want you to feel the pain. He sits there in front of the body of Hussein, looking down at his father's body. Bibi Zainab watching as Imam Sajjad, she says, his face now is turning colors. He seems to be taken by the moment, overtaken by the grief. Imagine seeing your father like this. Bibi Zainab was scared. Something might happen to Imam Sajjad. She makes her way towards Imam Sajjad. She says, Beta, it's time to go to Kufa. It's time to go to Kufa. You're the Imam of my time. I need you to come with me to Kufa. Imam Sajjad asks one question to the Bibi Zainab, and I'll leave you at that question. He looks up at Bibi Zainab and tears rolling down his face. In front of him, the body of his father. He says, Pupi Amma Zainab, I'll come with you to Kufa. I'm the Imam of your time, I must accompany you to Kufa. But answer me one question. Have you ever heard of any son leaving his father on the plains of Karbala, unburied, no kafan, nothing, no shroud, the way I'm leaving my father on the plains of Karbala. Matem Husayn, Ya Husayn, Ya Husayn.